Hello, welcome to Inspire in Half an Hour podcast. My name is Ruth Aisi, and I'm really thrilled today to be talking to Trinette Faint, an award-winning actress, screenwriter, director. She's also a novelist as well as other things. I'm chatting to her while she's in Boston in the US. I start by asking Trinette how she felt when she lost her job over a year ago now, after working in that workplace for 6 years.
It was pretty shocking. I had just the week before had been in California and with my team and my manager and our VP. Nothing seemed amiss. And the week before that, I had just lost my dog, and I was like, in grief over that. And they all were like, oh, we're so sorry, and blah, blah, blah. Nothing felt off. And then I came back home, and then a few days later I logged on to my one-on-one with my manager. I was told that was my last day, and I was like,
wow,
what? Yeah, really very calloused in the way that it happened. And I was like in such shock. And then he dropped off the call, like he wasn't even on there for like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe, And then HR jumps on, and I was just like traumatized. And HR gets on the call, and she's like, "Oh, do you have any questions?" And I'm like, "What just happened here?" Like,
yeah, I know. Can you explain?
yeah. And I did have like questions, but in hindsight, I didn't know, because I'd never been through that before, like the right questions that I should be asking. And my access to all my documents was cut off instantly, so I couldn't even access a document to show that like what he was saying was like not true. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But then here's something that's crazy, Ruth. So after that call ended, I mean, I was just completely I mean, I don't even
I
have
don't
the
know
words.
how I would react. That's
Exactly.
so shocking. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and in the stillness, I realized that the same exact thing had happened to one of my characters. I have a screenplay, a pilot that I'd written called Perry Does Europe. And
Yes.
she's this Black woman who works in tech, and she's about to go to London the next day on vacation to visit with her friends and take a vacation or something. And on her way out the door, she gets like fired in this like really inhumane way. Same thing happened to me, because I was going to London the next day
How
to meet up with
bizarre.
my friends for Thanksgiving holiday. My character had had a dog that had died. My dog had passed, a week before that. And I'd written that scene like 4 months earlier.
That is so strange.
It was like
Yes.
mind blowing.
Yes.
And the character, she goes off, she ultimately like pursues her kind of dormant creative dreams and stuff in Europe. And I was like, wow. Whoa. So that was like the first sign that
Yes.
I should use the opportunity to like, pursue my writing and, be a creative person, be the creative person that I'd always have been. But
Yes.
I'd always had like a job, like a day job.
Job.
And I was always doing my stuff kind of like in the background and in the shadows and stuff. And now it just seemed like, okay, like it didn't have, my ending was not on my timing, financial and otherwise, but I was
Use the
like,
opportunity,
okay,
turn it into an opportunity. Yeah.
yeah. But I
How
first
long
had
did
to
it take you to get? I mean, what was the time lapse between hearing that really devastating news that you suddenly lost your job to actually being able to really think seriously that, okay,
yeah.
I'm going to use this as a opportunity to tap into my creative juices?
Well, that probably was about a 6-week process, because
Yes.
the other thing that happened was I was scheduled for a second knee surgery that was
Mm,
supposed to be in late December. So
mm,
I had a partial replacement on one of my knees the
mm,
year before at the time, and I was supposed to have another surgery
mm,
because I'm still having like lots of pain. And when I
mm,
think back to like being let go, I remember that I had told my manager in California that I was going out on leave for my knee, but I'd already had a plan in place for coverage for him. And
mm.
I purposely chose it over the holidays because it's much quieter,
So
there's
yes,
not a
yes,
whole lot going on.
yes.
So I can only surmise that like that
He
this had
didn't.
something to do with it, you
Mm,
know? But anyway, I digress.
mm,
First thing I did was I called my surgeon and told them what happened. And so they moved up my surgery to the beginning of December because in the US, our health insurance is tied to our jobs.
oh yes, of course. Oh
Yes. So
yes.
it's not like
Yeah.
anywhere else in the world where
Yes.
something can happen to
Yes.
you and it's not a huge, huge deal, but it's a big deal here. So I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, am I still going to
Yes.
have my surgery? And not just the surgery, but like the follow-up appointments, the PT, like
Yes.
all that
Yes.
recovery.
But yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's a
So
major thing, a knee replacement. It's not,
yeah.
yeah, it takes a long
So
time.
they gratefully they had a slot open earlier. So the next
Oh wow.
week,
Mm,
I got the surgery, and then for the rest of December,
mm,
that was filled with like doctor's appointments and physical therapy. Like everything, was
mm,
covered, thank God. And
mm,
like all my grief was basically on pause because I was
mm,
dealing with that. Like I had a very real reality that I needed to get through physically first.
mm.
And it's like dark and cold here in Boston.
Oh
Like
yes.
it like really sucked. And
Yes.
dragging myself out in the cold to physical therapy and like, how am I going to get there now? Because like I've got to drive there. And,
Mm.
just like with crutches and like all this stuff, it was just like a
Oh
real.
yes.
So I did so much PT in December to the very end of the month
Mm,
until my insurance ran out. And then I went on Cobra, which is
mm,
an extension of your insurance, but
mm.
because it was resetting for the year, I had not yet met my deductible, obviously, like at the first of the year.
Yeah, yes.
Whereas at the end of December, I had met it long ago, so everything was free. And so
Mm.
I couldn't afford to be like spending money like on all these appointments like in January.
Yes, because it's a lot
So
of money. I mean, I don't
a lot
imagine
of
that the
money.
physiotherapy is cheap, is it, if you have to pay for
Yeah.
it
And
outside of
then not
insurance?
only that, like, my health coverage was so good
Mm,
that I didn't even have a premium because I'm not married, I don't
mm.
have children. So then I went from that to like suddenly having to pay like $1,000 a month for insurance, like overnight. And
Wow.
yeah, and it's gone up this past year, went up in January. So it was tough. So it wasn't until, probably
Mm,
mid-January or late January that I was like,
mm,
okay, because I knew I had a severance package coming.
mm.
Um, my unemployment was like slowly starting to kick in, and I had savings, thank God, I had
Yes,
savings.
yes, exactly. Yeah, that was
And
a
so once I like really
fortunate.
thought about it, I was like, you know what? I don't ever want to be in a situation like I was in before in a company like that
Mm,
because the way that I was treated on the way out, and obviously this is
mm,
not just uh, to me, everybody
mm.
who's been laid off in these jobs, like it
Yes.
goes down like this,
Yeah.
at least in the US.
Mm.
So I said, you know what? That's not the sort of place that I want to be giving my energy to.
No.
Yeah, especially for a place that like recruited me in. And I said no, like the first, time or two when they reached
Mm.
out to me, I was like not interested. And they sold me on all the bells and whistles and stuff,
Mm.
only
Yes.
to like
Yeah.
discard me like that at the end.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. That's really
Yeah.
shocking. Mm.
So I'd signed up for
Mm.
an acting class because I thought, well, let me use this opportunity to like sharpen my tools and stuff
Mm.
because there's not much hiring that goes on in January anyway. January,
Yes.
February, very slow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So at first I was like, okay, well, let me just kind of get things like back in shape.
Mm.
And then I think it was like early February, that first week of February. I
Mm.
said, you know what? This is an opportunity and I am not going to waste it because when else in
Yes.
my life have I been given the amount of space and time to focus on myself and what I want to do
To
and
yes.
and make my own plan, like how to move forward and stuff, like,
Mm.
wasn't destitute financially and
Mm.
things like that. And with like the literal freedom to make choices how I wanted to make choices about my future. So that's when
Mm.
I decided to do it. And once I made that choice, I just like really dove in. I started taking, other different acting
Mm.
classes. I started like restarted my French lessons and,
Mm.
decided to go to London and then I went to South by Southwest. So I just really made a conscious choice to get out of the house because it would have been very easy to get really, really depressed being in
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so I said, okay, my creativity here is going to have to save the day. And
Mm,
the acting classes were great because I went out to the class and I met
mm.
lots of people. Going to
Yes.
London, obviously, I met you and some other people. And so, sorry, that was a really long answer to a short
No,
question.
it's all fascinating. I mean, no, it's all very relevant. Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And every time I've met you twice, and you're always
Yes.
just full of light and joy, and I leave feeling inspired whenever I chat with you. But what challenges have you really faced?
I'd say the biggest challenge was a mental one, just having faith.
Mm,
Because we're so accustomed to like knowing everything and we can see the end generally, if we're in a somewhat kind of safe situation. But in what I was doing, really, I had to really believe in myself. And I've always
yes.
believed in myself, but like now, like it was a huge test of this,
Mm,
like really jumping out without a
mm,
net. And I was applying for jobs because I
mm,
had to apply for jobs for my unemployment.
mm,
But I will say that, I would submit for a role and I would either never hear back or the recruiter would get in touch and then they would talk to me about some other job
mm.
besides the one I applied for. Or I just get ghosted like a billion
Yes.
times over. Challenge. The other big one would be financial. Like even though
Mm,
I did have money coming in
mm.
and I went into like serious hustle mode.
Well, I really have to talk about party pants because that was,
Spider-Man, yes, girl.
yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you.
I was really, yeah, I just thought, wow. And I heard that you had produced, written, and starred in a
Yes,
short film.
co-directed.
And
Yes.
then, yeah, co-directed. It's
Yep.
amazing. And then it was selected for the Berlin Independent Film Festival, and you
Yep.
won the Best Actress, no
Yes.
less. I mean,
Yes.
wow,
I
congratulations
mean,
on that. That was
there's
just like sensational.
all of last year and the beginning of this year so far
Mm,
has just been like me trusting the
mm,
universe. And I
mm,
swear to you, things have just kind of happened that come in to validate what
mm,
I'm doing that keeps pushing me forward.
mm,
And Party Pants is an example of that.
mm.
Um, I initially did Party Pants for two reasons.
Yes.
One, because like Fiona, I was in the gym one day and I
Mm.
saw a trainer training somebody, and this woman had like the best legs and ass I had seen. And I started getting like competitive in my head, okay? And never mind the fact that she was probably half my age and could have been my daughter, right? She's doing her thing and I'm over on wherever I'm doing, and I'm like, trying to compete. Like it's so stupid, right? And I got bad everything anyway, so I can't even like probably do lunges and squats anymore. And I came home and like Fiona, I had a pair of pants that the year before had fit better. And
Mm.
I tried them on, and these were a pair of pants that I did not wear all that often. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, what? Like, what's happened in that year? And then I was like, well, apparently a lot can happen between the year 53 and 54 when you're like,
Yes.
in pause, like the
Yeah.
body's just changing. And so I just had that idea in my
Mm.
head and I wrote it.
Pants are trousers. We're not talking about
Oh, yeah.
underpants.
Oh,
In the UK, we don't talk so much about
okay,
pants.
we'll call it party trousers for this
No,
conversation.
no, I just wanted to clarify that for the listeners, just in case.
Oh, that's hilarious. So the other reason that I did it was because I wanted to show more of what I can do as an
Mm,
actor and as a writer and stuff. Once I started seeing the footage,
mm,
I said, "Oh, this is a little bit better than I
mm,
thought." Like instead of
mm,
just using this as something to send to casting or to give to my
mm.
agent, send out that sort
Yes.
of thing. And I said, "Let me see if I can't give this a life." So then
Mm,
I decided to give it a proper premiere
mm,
that I had in Boston and, submit it out to festivals just to kind of see. It's like,
mm.
because the whole year, Ruth, was just me trying things, just,
Yes. Yeah.
throwing noodles on the wall, seeing what sticks. And as it's shocking to me as anybody, like how well received it's been. And the Berlin Indie Festival was the first festival that I had submitted to. And I
Mm,
just happened, I guess, to catch the very end of that submission date before they
mm,
notified. And so I learned I got Best Actress, like it was probably 3 weeks maybe after
mm.
I had submitted.
Wow, that's
And I was
amazing.
like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's since gone on to get a Best Short Screenplay nomination in the Barcelona
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Awards. Yeah, so I was in
Mm,
Barcelona last month. And then it got honorable mention in Hollywood Shorts Fest. So it's going to
mm.
be part of their virtual event that's happening in a couple of weeks.
Oh, amazing. Gosh,
And then
congratulations. Wow.
it just got accepted into the
Wow.
Rennes Movie Awards in Rennes, France, Champagne country. It's spelled Reims. So I would used to say it Rennes, right? But
Yes,
I've been corrected many times in France. Rennes.
the
So,
Thames. Okay. Wow. This is just so impressive. It's incredible. I mean,
so
that is,
it
yeah.
goes to like what I was talking about, like with faith
Wow.
and just putting myself out there, like
Yes.
getting these accolades and this validation from the business. I was like, okay, well, this is a sign. This is a sign. So of all the things that I tried last year,
Mm,
this has been the one thing that has been the kind of stickiest. And I was like, okay,
mm,
like this is where the door's being pushed open. Like there'd be no way that I'd be getting all this love from these festivals if, obviously I know I'm talented, but like to have it
mm.
validated from the outside has been really, really rewarding, especially given how I even came to it, like from losing
Yes.
my job and like all that stuff.
All
And
those
instead,
knocks. Yeah. It was a time when
yeah,
you might have actually not been at your most confident, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Wow, that is just incredible. I mean, that really, yeah. I mean, but so well deserved. And I really enjoyed Party Pants. I just thought it was
Thank you.
really good,
It's
relate
on
to it.
YouTube for all the listeners.
And so what's your next project? I hear you're going to be shooting in France, is that right? Can you tell us a
Yes,
little bit about that?
I can. So I'm a novelist as well,
Mm.
and my novel collects Caleb,
Mhm.
and I got producers on board in Paris and in LA. So we're going to shoot the pilot in Paris, hopefully end of the year. That date is TBD because anybody who knows
Yes.
production, you know, anything can change.
But what is there
Yeah.
some sort of advice you could give to people who want to follow their creative instincts, particularly writing, or screenwriting, or
Yeah.
novel writing? What would you
Well,
say?
I have two bits of advice. Number
Yes.
one, I have since built a creative consultancy to help people exactly potentially in the situation that I was in, and like maybe some of your
Mm,
listeners who want to change, who want to maybe pursue something different creatively or not, but
mm.
don't like know where to start. Like sometimes it just takes someone who's been through it to listen
Yes.
and say, okay, these are the first couple of steps you can take, and this is, how you can get
Mm.
going. So there's that. That's Faint Services Group. And thank you in
What's it
advance.
called? Yes.
Faint Services
His
Group.
group, that's right. Faint Services Group.
If anybody, is sitting kind of in a dead end situation and they really want to make a change, but is either afraid or
Mm,
doesn't know where to start. Number one, like y there's more fear in if you don't do it,
mm.
I think,
Yes.
because first of all, life is too short, and the way this world is going, Lord knows,
Yes.
all of our
Yeah.
days feel numbered lately.
Mm,
So you don't have as much time as you think you might have
mm,
to do anything. And there are ways to just make baby steps to go to your goal. Like it doesn't have to be this huge, massive thing that you
mm,
suddenly are throwing yourself into. It can be something very small that you do every day or a couple days a week in service of your larger goal.
mm.
And what's going to happen is if you start doing those little things, you're going to look back in 6 months, let's say three, even three, and you're going to see that you made so much progress. Like when
Mm.
I first lost my job and I started taking acting classes, I was just resharpening the tools. Like I'd been
Mm.
in SAG for a long time. I'd done acting before, but I hadn't done
Yes.
it so much because I had had a day job. And so
Mm.
I was just like resharpening. And then all of a sudden, I just started like booking jobs. And someone at a casting agency in Boston, she was like, "Oh, I can see the difference like in your acting from now than, before." And it was those very small things. Just take a class. Just take a class. Like whatever it is you want to do, what can you do now to sharpen up that skill while you have a day job? Like if it's a physical thing that you're, let's say a business you're trying to launch, you're trying to sell something,
Yes.
like can you start selling at a farmer's market on the weekends now? Like, like
Yes.
something,
Like baby
anything.
steps. Yes. No, you're
Yes.
going in the right direction, but you don't have
Yes.
to achieve the whole goal,
No,
next
no.
week.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's way too
Yeah.
overwhelming. And to
Yes.
put yourself in places where you could meet the right people. You
Yes.
have to find your tribe. Like when I went to London Screenwriters Festival, I felt totally compelled to do that. And let me tell you a very quick story on how I even came to go there.
Yes, too.
Yeah. So one morning I got a notification on Instagram that I think it was like the Hollywood Screenwriters Festival or somebody was like following me. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. How did they kind of come across my profile kind of thing? And I looked it up their thing and I saw that they had a pitch fest that was happening within a few months. And so I thought about going there, but also knowing that my stories take place in Europe. And so it makes more sense for me to be putting my energy there and making
Yes.
content there. I said to myself, I was like, if there's one in Hollywood, there's got to be something like this in London. So I just typed in London Screenwriters Festival, like name, and it popped up. Okay. And not only did it pop up, but the festival was like happening within 3 weeks or something like.
Yes, it was April, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh my God, like what timing? This is for the universe again, Ruth,
Yeah.
because I could have gotten that notification from Instagram that would have sent me to look for this like after the festival, like
Oh.
anything with timing. And so I just knew instantly, I was like, oh my God, like this is where I need to go. So I bought a ticket and I have a great friend in London that I stay with when I'm there. And thankfully, the ticket wasn't like crazy expensive to get it somewhat at the last minute. And that's how I ended up going there. I mean, it's just like these little things, these like
Yeah.
small things, like
Grabbing the opportunity, because
yes, yes,
sometimes those opportunities don't come around twice. So you just have
yes,
to,
yes. And
yeah,
acting on them, like you
acting
said,
on them.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
people get signs every day and they avoid them or we
Yes.
avoid them, but,
Yes.
out of various reasons, fear being a huge thing
Exactly. Yeah.
because we're all conditioned, or at least in the US, to have like, the big house and the car and this and that and all this other stuff. But there's other ways to live that are as fulfilling, if not more fulfilling. And, you have to like decide, okay, what is more important to you in the long run? Like,
Yes.
can you take your house to the grave? No. But if you
Yeah.
produce some great art that you have in the world, like
Yeah.
that is something that is out there kind of forever.
But yeah, no, you're so right. And it's meaningful, isn't it? Even while we're
Mhm,
still
mhm.
around, a great car or a big car or a big house, it soon
Yeah,
loses its novelty. It's sort of like,
exactly.
you just adjust to it. But
And
somehow
your
when
house
you
could burn
produce,
down and your
yeah.
car could fall off a cliff.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
well, I
you
wasn't
get
going that far, Trinette.
I know, I'm probably digging too far, but you get the point I'm trying to
Yes,
make.
no, of course, yeah. No. Well, you're putting it very clearly if anyone's got any doubts.
Things,
Mm,
so I launched Trinette Faint, my networking events
mm,
company, because I kept hearing from people like
mm.
myself that they're tired of the regular big platforms, which we all are aware of,
Yes.
because it's just very impersonal and stuff. And just there just seemed to be this desire for people to get together in person again. And
Mm,
I started thinking, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. Like I've had like 9 lives. Okay.
mm,
So I know so
mm.
many people from different aspects of my life.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this person would really benefit from knowing that person and this person for this person.
Mm.
And so I launched this company. So it takes something to launch something. And
When did you launch that, Trinette?
I think that was June. I believe it was.
Hmm.
It was June. It was June. Yep. Yep. I remember that now. So I've since had events in different cities, and it's been going well. The reception's been great. I got in Martha Stewart magazine and in Better
Mhm.
Homes and Gardens,
Oh,
two
very good. So
this
what
year.
happens, for example, what was the last event? Just if you could explain, what it actually is in reality, how many
Yeah.
people came and what you did and how long the event
The
lasted.
last one I did was in November in
Yes.
Saint-Jean-de-Luz in France,
Mm.
because I was traveling a few weeks through
Mm.
Europe again.
Mm-hmm.
We had it at my friend's house,
Mm-hmm.
so we invited a bunch of people. So generally, I invite people from different walks of life, generally creatives, and
Yes.
charge a certain fee, and
Mm.
there's a dinner, and it includes everything, obviously.
Mm.
And it's just like a really personable way for people to get to know each other and benefit from knowing each other and strengthen their networks. So that was the last one that I
How many
did.
people do actually get together? I mean, if it's in your friend's house, obviously it's not huge because
I think the average number has been about eight or
okay,
nine.
so yeah, that's quite a
Yeah,
number. Yeah.
yeah. I keep
Uh,
them relatively intimate,
yes.
because
Yes.
that's
No. It's,
more powerful than having like a huge long table and you can't talk to everybody and
but
stuff.
yes, and if you're hosting them as well, it's
Exactly.
also quite a big deal. Well, how do
Uh-huh.
you manage stress? I mean, you must be having some sort of stress. I know you're sort
Oh
of trying.
God, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you do to look after yourself, Trinette, when you're not, sort of
Um,
investing in?
I do Pilates quite a bit. I did it early this morning, as you know.
I know.
Um, and I have to do it now because of my knees. So
Yeah.
lots of Pilates, the gym, like weights and stuff. Exercise is my big stress manager.
Yeah.
Seeing friends, traveling, escaping into French. I mentioned I'm taking
Mm,
lessons, and I've traveled to France a
mm,
bunch. I have a lot of a big network, I guess, there,
mm,
especially particularly down in the south of France. Well, I guess in Paris too.
mm,
So yeah, those are the big things. I just try to stay grateful for what I have. Things continue to be very expensive. I'm nowhere near profitable in anything. I'm nowhere near making
mm.
the amount of money that I want to make. Or I should say, rephrase that I know I will make one day.
Yes.
Okay? That's how I'll put that,
Yes, yes, yes.
because this has just been like this wonderfully amazing experience
Mm,
of doing what I'm doing, but it's also been terrifying at
mm,
times. I've tried to like not panic.
mm,
It's financially destabilizing. All the rest. Like I don't have a spouse or a
mm,
partner that somebody could like help and cover my insurance and put me on their insurance plan or buy
mm,
groceries or whatever. So like just my basic costs of living, it's all worth it, because what is the alternative? And
mm.
knowing that I'm putting things out there and I'm investing in myself and I'm investing for my future, and I've made all this progress in such a short amount of time because I have done all that. Like if I would have delicately like kind of jumped in this pond and, kind of tiptoed in,
Mm.
I might still have the same ultimate success, but it would happen a lot later.
Yes, thank you so much, Trinette, for coming on
Of course.
Inspiring Half an Hour podcast. I mean, you really are,
Having
you're
me.
inspiring me, and I'm sure you're going to inspire lots of the listeners. And I've just loved chatting with you. It's been great to see you again. Thanks so much. You're
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you for having me.